Yo, 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 what is going on, RoK Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we are going to be touching on Zone 2. Continuing from the previous video where we touched on Zone 1, looking to try and have 18 alliances minimum. Zone 2, we want to try and have 9 alliances minimum. And the main reason here, like we alluded to in the previous video and the one before, is mainly because you want to have as many active alliances playing and retaining their services, thereby their activity, in the game for as long as possible. We're going to dive into some of the benefits, some of the pros, and then how you can go about doing this successfully and what it'll lead to. Before we get started, as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you sub, like, ring the notification bell, and if you want to join and be a part of our conversation, hit up the Discord, link to that, description, pin comment down below. Okay, so some of you might be thinking, well, 9 alliances is a lot, boss. Why are we going to have 9 alliances in Zone 2, right? If there's 9 shrines, right, we're trying to position ourselves like all the other kingdoms or the majority of other kingdoms do, and we need to try and give, right, the most amount of active fighting alliances, shrines that we're going to be taking into KVK. Well, news for everyone is that even if you start off with 18 alliances minimum in Zone 1. You do 9 alliances minimum in Zone 2. Remember that you can still redistribute structures if you need to. Remember that the end goal here is to create an environment in which you can have the most amount of active alliances and players and thereby retaining the most amount of that activity over a period of time, and hopefully a long period of time. So what you do is you split up each of the Zone 2 provinces into thirds. You give each territory assigned one shrine and one Zone 3 gate, or pass in this case. And you do that by trying just to give an equal 1/3 across the board. And you do that for each of the Zone 2 provinces. So that way, what'll happen is that you'll have one alliance, right? Like in this case, that would come through and they would build out to Zone 2 from Zone 1. And what they would do is they would try to, obviously, most likely you're just going to end up connecting to the shrine sooner than later, even if you just take a little bit longer of a path to go through RSS preferred or preferential deposits as far as doing that pathing first. But eventually, once you fill out your territory, or even before then, depending, it can be good. This is kind of the transition period, right? Is that then what you can do if you want to increase this overall activity within the kingdom is you allow for other alliances to build into Zone 2. Now, whether that's a fort drop, whether that's you have multiple passes that are going there, so maybe you're okay giving, the 4th, 5th, or 6th strongest alliance a pass there where they don't necessarily have to drop a fort, or you just do a fort, drop, you just get people in past the gate from capturing it or having them join and leave, getting into Zone 2, and they can do some building. What this does for you is it allows for you to keep a higher percentage of the kingdom's population via alliances, which houses the active members, alive and enjoying the game, progressing in the game through the kingdom from Zone 1 to 2 to 3. In addition, a way to work around this, where you might be thinking, well, boss, where are they going to build? How are you going to do this? Because you've split up 1/3 in the province. My friend, this is where we have to be getting creative. So, what you do, and this is one of the easiest ways to start off doing it, when alliances come in, other alliances that are not assigned an initial 1/3 territory, you have them build along the mountain range. All right, this is a very easy fix. An example of this is, let's say, one fort drops here in the corner, another one fort drops here in the corner. Well, they build along, right? Or better yet, what you could do is you have one drop here in the middle, and they can build wide, right? So they're not blocking the gate. And then you can have another one built here, right? Somewhere kind of centralized where they have the most amount of space to expand in. And then an example would be like here. They can build along the pass here. You basically kind of have to look at it from like gate to gate. That's the territory they can build in. And if you look at resources, you can see there's resources here along the perimeter. Same thing if you go here, along the perimeter, right? So these things are there, and that's what you use as your starting line, right? Then from there, you can build out, right? After you kind of hammer those out, you can build a little out if you need to. But you do it at an appropriate time, even if it's okay to drop a CF initially. An example of this would be, well, it's probably okay for me to drop a CF here in the corner. Why? Because there's no tiles there. So if you have the designated alliance that is getting that 1/3 territory, well, they may want to go and flag to all the gold in their territory first, right? While they're kind of working their way to the shrine, essentially where they're just getting there before it opens, right? No matter how long it takes. So they may flag out to the necessary deposits first, but once they kind of have the most immediate deposits they need, then you have the other alliance come in, or you try and figure out where they can place that would not be a deposit that you're going to need to go to. And then from there, you would figure that out. And that's one way just to effortlessly get around the idea of, well, how are you going to fit multiple alliances in a 1/3 province or a 1/3 territory split within Zone 2? So again, it definitely is easy enough to do, and it can be done, but it does just take a level of coordination and cooperation to work with other alliances. And the fact is that everyone wants to progress right at the end of the day. Everyone wants to try and advance from your Zone 1 to a Zone 2 and try to get to Zone 3. So that's why I think it's really important that we set a good precedent, especially if we're looking to build kingdoms in a way that, once again, have the most amount of activity and thereby the most amount of players retaining over a period of time. And this is just one of the best ways to do it. If you're looking at how to progress and how to do a smooth transition from Zone 1 to Zone 2, why you would have this many alliances going in, and how you can space it out, what are some of the important parts that you would focus on early on, and how you can make it really work when it comes to fitting in the space, because it definitely can be done. And as I said, the biggest common denominator, it just really goes back to the one thing I'll probably always be beating that dead horse with, is that you don't want to take away the opportunity, take away that right for players to play the game, or at least to play the game right within as the limitations that are there. It may not make the most sense for you to have 30 alliances going to Zone 2, so to speak, right? Even if you may have 50 alliances, 50 or 60 alliances spread out in Zone 1, right? If you have a 1/3 territory, that's because typically you're usually going to have a lot of alliances spread out in your Zone 1 provinces. But going into Zone 2, maybe you take 1 or 2 alliances with you there, where maybe you might have 6 to 9 alliances in each of the provinces, right? So maybe you could have 18 or more than 18 alliances, because you're going to have way more than that in Zone 1 throughout all the provinces. So it really, again, comes down to, right, wanting players to play for as long as possible and giving them opportunities to do so they feel like they're progressing in the game. But taking away those opportunities early on, especially when you think about how you deny people in Zone 1 or you deny people Zone 2 access, all that does is just increase player drop-off that much more. So again, we're trying to work smarter, not harder. And we don't want to be counterproductive in saying that, well, we want a really active kingdom, but we just don't want that many people going into Zone 2 or that many people going with alliances going into Zone 3, because we're just not going to need them all. It's kind of backwards thinking, right? Everyone really wants to have a very active and high morale kingdom. And this is just one of the best ways to get to that point, to where you can be in the best position to be as sustainable, growing and developing as possible. Okay, that's it for me. With all of that being said, I would love to know your thoughts on anything I touched on, right? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Why or why not? Are you in a kingdom that maybe has tried something like this? Are you skeptical about this? Maybe you just don't think it's going to work based on the current trends. I would still love to know anything and everything you guys are thinking. Let me know in those comments down below. That's it for me. Until next time, we'll catch you later.